they begin walking in a circle and maybe chanting and crying and telling their stories, and it gets more violent. Hey, I'm Claire, and welcome back to Let's Build Wingtorn, where we use Microscope RPG and other solo RPG supplements to build a fantasy world. Ooh. Let's get back into the story. The question was, what is the pivotal moment that Pitton experiences that makes him want to start a movement? The answer is that he was trapped in a tunnel with 7 other people during his captivity. He was trapped there by Fey negligence, and it's there that he begins plotting his revenge, he begins plotting his escape, and these feelings are the seeds of what eventually sprouts and becomes his secret society movement. Is this light or dark? I think this is light. In this moment of darkness where he's been enslaved and he's being worked to death, he has this sudden fire, this sudden desire again to do something for himself, to help himself and the other people around him. So I think this is light. Maybe the movement is not, but I think his desire is genuine. Light. Now it is time for turn 3. It is my turn again, so we don't have to ask the dice every single little thing. I'm still very interested in Pitton. I think we've got a lot to unpack there about, his life and certainly his relationship with the middle sister Minra, whether that deteriorates or maybe Minra is part of this secret society. They are best friends. What happens with their relationship and how does the cult interact with that? That actually is quite interesting, and I think that I want to explore that. Things do not happen in vacuums. The 3 sisters are quite influential, quite important, especially after they become queens. So does Pitton try and use his best friend's influence to further his own cause? Or is he furious with them because their rescue attempt of him failed? Or maybe they don't want to have anything to do with him because his secret society is weird. We should probably flesh out some of the details of his secret society, actually. That would be really fun too. Okay, we have a lot of areas to explore here. Yay! I was a bit afraid that I was getting some rustling on my audio, so I changed the way my scarf lays. I also noticed that my scarf is very appropriate for our focus. Cults and secret societies, got the stars and moons, very pretty. For my turn, for turn 3 of this round, I would like to do a scene, and the question of this scene has to do with Minra, the middle sister of the 3 sisters, and her relationship with Pitton. I mean, she wants to help him. They are friends. She tried to rescue him, but I think that he has gone down this path that she cannot follow, and I think there's something very weird and very strange in this society that he's founded that just makes it unapproachable for her and for a lot of people, and that's one of the reasons why it is a closed, exclusive group. Specific people are members of this because they believe certain things, because they are going about getting justice in a specific ritualistic way that makes no kind of logical sense to other people that are fighting in the war specifically against the Fae, or who are trying to use diplomatic channels to make peace. I think there's something very strange about this secret society. So the question of this scene is, what is it about Pitton's movement that is off-putting and strange to Minra? The nice thing about Microscope and the scene questions is that you can be presumptuous with your questions. I haven't really technically established that Minra is off-put by Pitton's movement, but I make it so and make it true by asking this question. What is so strange about this movement? I'm going to pull out a different tool now that I haven't used in this series. It is the Tomb of Adventure Design. It has like a gajillion tables. Hi, you're back. You're so cute. I'm coming to visit. You get no attention today. It has a lot of really specific tables in it, And I did find one about cults and secret societies that I wanted to use. So the question is, what is it about? See, I think it's some kind of ritual, or it's something specific about the way that they are behaving. I think Pitton, being a superstitious type, has developed these rituals that he thinks are making some kind of mythical difference. Maybe they are doing some other kind of act of disruption of Fae abductions. Maybe they're doing some kind of awareness campaigns, but I think that they are actually, a lot of this is sort of spiritual and ritual, because he is very superstitious. I think that he is the kind of person who believes that if you do these rituals or ways of behavior over and over again, that he is making some kind of impact in the world. So I'm going to roll on table 4-36, religious processions and ceremonies, to get a kind of flavor and ideas for the specifics of the rituals and ceremonies that Pitton and his followers are doing that they think are making some kind of actual difference. That might be off-putting to somebody like Minra, who's very doubtful, who's probably quite skeptical of all of this, and is trying to be supportive, but is just like, I don't know, this is kind of strange. That's probably part of the scene, right? He invites her to a meeting that ends up being this sort of strange ritual, and she's just like, this is not helpful. This is not going to help us with our war against the Fae. This is you sitting around doing whatever. So let's roll on this table and see what we get. 87 torches. So this table, it actually has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different aspects. So I can roll on this table 5 times and get different aspects of the ceremony. So the first column of this table is what is carried. I rolled an 87. That is torches. Okay, so you're carrying torches. Let's roll again for what is worn. A lot of nudity, but half of this table is just nothing. Nudity. 21. Yeah, nude. They're nude, carrying torches. Okay. Accessory. 22. Face or body paints. Okay, but they're nude. What is the sound made? 16. Clashing. Probably also symbols, or maybe they have the sticks of their torches. Maybe they bang them together as they're processing, as they make their way around the room in a ritualistic way with their torches. And the last table here is reason for procession. Let's roll on that anyway and see what we get. 42. Funeral, which you could interpret as this is their way of remembering the people who died during the abductions. I think that's a very nice way to interpret it. That would be very healing, probably. But I don't know if that's how Pitton would see it. I think that's one aspect of this ritual. I think another aspect of this ritual is to take feelings of death, of accepting death, and mourning the people who have died, who were abducted, who died into captivity, and turning it on its head and sending it back to the origin, aka the Fae. So the ritual would be, we're mourning those who have died, we are accepting their deaths, but the fact that they have died only makes our cause stronger. And we're gonna send that anger to them in our ritual. And I think this is what Pitton would do in the woods as a young boy when he got angry at people for whatever reason. Maybe he's a bit temperamental too, and that's why Minra is friends with him. He would go in the woods, and the way he would deal with this anger is he would perform these sort of ritualistic movements, his own kind of retribution against those who have wronged him, and maybe then something would work out in his favor. And so he thought as a boy, oh, because I did this ritual, I got what I wanted. So he made those earlier connections in his mind. So fast forward to his society, he has evolved these rituals into actual tools of the society where he thinks that performing them is making a noticeable impact in the world, when in reality it's probably not. There is magic in the world, but I don't think there's anything magical about this ritual beyond if there are any gods, maybe they might take notice. I don't think it's anything necessarily like that. I think this is just him imposing his own internal life on the outside world and thinking that this is doing something very meaningful and making a difference. Pitton invites Minra to a meeting. I think that this happens just after she's married and she's become the queen. I think that Pitton is like, well, now you're queen. I mean, you had some influence before, but now you have a real title, and I want to maybe take advantage of that and have your ear, and look what we're doing here. We're making a difference. So he kind of invites her to this meeting, and she thinks, oh yeah, I mean, this is an important cause, trying to get justice for this terrible thing that was done to you and all these people. Definitely I'm gonna come and sit in on your meeting. Is it in the capital? I think it's in the woods. It's probably not very far from where their clan settlement is, though I don't know if he lives there anymore, but I think it's in the woods at night. And Pitton and his followers are there, and she's just like, oh, you know, it's not quite what I was expecting, but all right, sure, at night in the woods for your meeting. Minra thinks that they're gonna talk about current abductions, all the people who have been lost, people who have not been recovered, trying to make a list of names of people that have been abducted and reaching out to their families for support. Maybe she thinks that's what's gonna be happening here, but instead of that, the torches are passed around. A circle is formed, and Minra is like, where is Pitton? I just saw him here a few minutes ago, and everybody's just kind of looking at her. They would know who she is, I suspect. They're sort of maybe suspicious of her that she's here, but if she's here, Pitton allowed her to be here. Pitton appears, and he is nude. And his face is painted in a particular way. One by one, everybody disrobes, takes off their clothes, and under their clothes, the robes, they too have particular markings. Pitton is carrying a torch, and one by one, he goes around the circle, and he lights the torch, and I think he starts telling a story. I think he starts telling the story about how in the darkness of the tunnel, where he and his companions were trapped when he was in captivity, how there was no light. They had to survive for days in the darkness, and all they had were each other and their voices and their hope to carry them forward. And it was this hope, not food, not being, not thoughts of love and family, but it was this hope that helped them survive. But we think now on all of the people who have perished at the hands of the Fae because they were taken from their homes, ripped away from their families. And we think about them now as we begin tonight. He lights everybody's torches, and he lights Minra's torch. She has one. And they lock eyes, and she's just like, okay, I understand. This is going to be healing for you. We'll do that, and then we'll discuss things we can actually do in the real world that will help. But as this ritual goes on, they begin walking in a circle and maybe chanting and crying and telling their stories, and it gets more violent. They slowly begin clashing their torches, and they're on fire. Slowly clash, as they have a procession around the trees in the woods. Pitton's words become more frantic. Think about the bodies of the people who were not recovered. And he begins reciting names. They will never see the sun again. And he gets angrier and angrier as he's shouting. Everybody is breathing strangely as the procession becomes more frenzied as they dart in and out of the trees, and they're clashing their torches, and maybe even branches and bushes start to light on fire as it kind of raises to a climax. And Pitton's like, take this fire and we send it back to those who have wronged us. And everybody breathes out. This tension has been released. Ritualistically, he feels like he has sent these negative feelings towards the Fae, and that will cause some kind of harm to them. Minra is very taken aback by this. I think at first she was sort of accepting, but as she watched these people essentially almost start a forest fire, she is like trying to stamp out grass fires. She's trying to beat out these bushes that were caught alight. She just looks at him and is just like, WTF? Does she leave? She's doubtful and she's temperamental. She wouldn't leave, but I think she would sit on the sidelines and watch for the rest of the meeting. She wants to be respectful of Pitton's clear authority he has over these people, and she wants to be respectful of his feelings, this anger and sense of helplessness he must feel. But I think she also understands that this is potentially dangerous. Having all these people believe that you are actually making a difference, it might be healing for these people to undergo these rituals. I think she understands that too. But Minra is like, there is nothing official that I can condone or support here. After the meeting is over and Pitton goes to her being like, what do you think? Do I have your support as queen to expand my operation or spread the word about my movement? And she's just like, there's nothing I can do for you here. And he's like, you don't have my back. You didn't have my back that day when I was taken. She turned her back for a second. He was swept off the ground. You didn't have my back the day I was taken. Your pitiful rescue attempt failed. Figures that I have to do this myself. Now that you're queen, you don't even care. You've forgotten your roots. Well, I don't need you or your sisters or your cowardly husband to right the wrong that has been done us. I think this really damages their friendship, that she doesn't actively publicly support Pitton's movement here. That's our scene. What is it about Pitton's movement that is so strange and off-putting to Minra when she visits at night? The answer is a strange ritual that Minra at first believes is therapeutic, takes a dark and strange turn. Pitton becomes upset when Minra does not extend her official queenly support of his group. Is this light or dark? I think this is dark. Yeah, it's not a good moment for their friendship. Dark. Now it is turn 4 of round 2. It is the Oracle's turn again. So we're going to put it to the dice. Are we going to create an event or a scene?